We are very grateful to get to office in one of Fort Worth's historic properties. It's very special to get to be here.
When we walked in the door, this was definitely a bed and breakfast. There were many rooms, there were many bathtubs, and there was bed and breakfast decor. So we had to change that to a great office space.
So there was a lot of structural love that this property needed, but it also needed a bunch of restoration, design, colors, refinishing. So there was a lot of decisions to be made. Okay, Lisa, so there were so many moments in construction, so many things that you're like, oh my goodness, this worked out so great, and so many things that you're like, repaint that, no. So what was the biggest disappointment, and then what would you say turned out to be like the best surprise?
I think the biggest panic was upstairs when one of the fireplaces was partially demoed, and the plaster was just supposed to be removed, but it ended up being demoed down to the flue. However, it ended up being a fabulous piece of artwork. We left the flue, you could see inside the fireplace, opened up the ceiling, installed lights to the windows that were in the attic, and it's just become this grand room with all this beautiful architecture.
It's a treat to be here at this house, and I spend almost every work day at the house the brother to this house designed. The two Messer brothers came here through the port of Galveston, and they decided to build a few buildings that were extraordinary. It's known for its pattern brick on the first floor, and there is a discreet M on the back side of the house that you can see from I-30 on the access road if you're going to the east.
Arthur Messer was an architect, and he designed this wonderful house, which was one of the original homes here in the Arlington Heights subdivision. He not only partnered with his brother, but he also partnered with Marshall Sanguinet, who went on to become one of the more well-known early Fort Worth architects. Sanguinet, with another partner, designed many of the downtown skyscrapers from the early 1920s. But as you can see, this wonderful brick detailing that we have here on this house sits on a hilltop overlooking a good deal of Arlington Heights.
Lucky enough to be invited to this house, which is a great kind of Victorian Tudor revival house. And so you're going to see some Victorian elements in here. You see this kind of Tudor arch in the doorways. There's some wonderful details on this house. It's solid masonry walls, full walk-through windows that are great. I'm going to show you a couple things inside that show off its Victorian heritage. So come on and check this out. So inside we've got really some fun details, and probably this one is my favorite. It is, you know, this Tudor arch, but kind of with a Victorian flair, almost a Moorish flair. But you're going to see this detail everywhere. It's a bead and reel, and it was something that is around about every cased opening. This was a common Victorian embellishment in a way to kind of make things look more elevated, ornamented, right? So this is 1891, so that's kind of typical, that late Victorian area. I love these cabinets, right? We've got the bead and reel again here, inset cabinet doors, you know, this little ball finial, and look at this fun detail around these cabinet doors where the router has come in and left a square corner. You'll see things like that in the Victorian millwork quite a bit. Look at this. So in the Mark Twain house up in Connecticut, he did this, and this was something that you'll sometimes see in Victorian houses where they wanted to be able to see through to the outside, bring light in. The flues go on either side of this thing. So, and then last but not least, we've got these great sleeping porches, which originally open up. You see them in the original pictures. Upstairs too, you'll see these columns that are stuck between these windows. But sleeping porches in Texas in the 1890s, obviously no air conditioning. So this would have been areas where they cooled off. That's why you have these windows that opened up. This house would have circulated air wonderfully, but you know, this is going back to the early stages of how things were built in Texas, dealing with the heat, but an amazing late Victorian house in that English revival style, really special.
Well, we hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about the history of 5220 Locke Avenue. If you have not stepped in our door, please come check it out. We are honored to get to be here, and we're honored to be in the next phase of Fort Worth.